see. Now I think everything is fixed. That's off, that's off, that's off, that's on. That's live. I think we're good to go. Alright, let's give this a shot. Hello! Shadowcat back with more Babylon 5. And, oh boy, here we go today. Started off today and had the music muted. And the microphone not muted. That's a great sign of things to come. That's basically rolling a natural one right out the gate. So, we're off to a great start. But, I already got people here. I think I'm ready to go. So, let's go ahead and get into it. Before we do, though, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that. Hit the bell icon that we get notified every time these videos come out. I even schedule the live streams ahead of time. I don't have to, but I do. If you know somebody else who's also into Babylon 5 or Starfinder, go ahead and share this video with them. Otherwise, if you just like me, like what I'm doing, leave a like on the video. You can leave a comment down below too. And even, more importantly, we have a Discord. Okay, I mention the Discord every time, but I'm going to mention Discord extra hard this time. If you want to come play with us, you have to join the Discord. You have to go to the behind the screen channel and let me know what your availability is and what games you want to play. But, as an addition, we already have a game going that is a Star Trek module. Okay, it's the B Team. And fantastic game. I love it. I have fun. All of my players are enjoying it, and there's still time for you to join that one. However, we also have in the works a Warhammer 40,000 game. So, details are still being put together. Don't have a time slot for it yet, but we are working on it. This will be a Gene Stealer campaign. Yes, you get to play a Tyranid Gene Stealer and prepare a planet that you land on for consumption by the Hive Swarm. So if that sounds like something that you would be interested in, then again, join the Discord so that you can come and play with us. I've already put a lot of work into this game. So far, it's looking really good. The Gene Stealers themselves looking fantastic. Not a race that I did on stream. Did this one behind the scenes because I never figured that we could do a Tyranid campaign. Turns out we can. So if you want to do that, join us. Otherwise, we're going to get into Babylon 5 now. I see that JP is in. Hello, JP. Good to see you here. You're going to want to be here for this one. Or maybe next one? I don't know. I have to wait and see how exactly this goes. And I see that Blizz is in too. Hello, Blizz. Good to see you. I'm going to pop out the chat on my other screen so that I can read it there. Very good. And then we'll bring everything in so that we can go over quickly what we did last time. And from there, we'll see where we can go. So we're going to need to bring in the browser. We need our reference materials. And of course, we'll need our spreadsheet. So there's something to write down on. And JP says, join the hive mind. Not much of a hive mind, honestly. That's the thing about Gene Stealers. They get thrown on ahead of everything else, and so they're kind of their own little hive. And then, of course, the hive arrives, they eat the planet, you get eaten too, and the circle of life for Tyranids continues. It's like a Disney movie, but horrifying. And JP says, are there any dragon types at all in Warhammer? Not really. I mean, there's a dragon chapter of the Space Marines, but that's about it. If you're looking for like an actual dragon, no, there's no actual dragons. There's a few Tyranid that come kinda close. I mean, they have wings. I don't think they breathe fire, though. So, Gonna go with no. No on the dragons. No dragons. It's okay, though. They got other horrifying things instead. Alright, so, last time we were here, we went to work on the Centauri, and the Centauri kind of threw me for a loop because they just break all the conventions. Everybody else uses carriers. And they use carriers as a mobile platform, while they use fighters to extend their reach. Centauri don't do that, which is kind of weird, but I guess it works for them. So for the Centauri, they do have fighters, they just don't have fighter bays on their ships. So they will launch their fighters from somewhere else and use them to escort their ships wherever they're going. It seems kind of weird, but that's what they do. So we went to work on the Vorchan and the Primus. Now the Vorchan, we decided to make a destroyer, and this was actually kind of forced. So turning the Vorchan into a destroyer fits the Vorchan. I had to make it a destroyer though because according to the wiki, the Vorchan is atmospheric capable. Per Starfinder rules, only ships that are large or smaller are allowed to actually transit an atmosphere. Anything larger than that, and presumably they either burn up or crash. So I had to go with the destroyer, which meant we had to bump down the White Star, which I have no problem with because the White Star is still every bit as punchy as it was before. Now it's just a little bit more glassy, and I think that's fine. There were some complaints that the White Star was, a bit too fragile. However, now that we have the Vorchan done, the White Stars and the Vorchans actually do go toe-to-toe in the show. And the White Stars, generally speaking, win. Now, there are complaints that they lose more ships as the series goes on, and they need a new type of vessel because the White Stars are just, they're outclassed. So, can a White Star beat this Centauri Vorchan? The answer is absolutely yes, especially with that primary weapon on the front. Can this thing beat the White Star? Absolutely. With the twin-linked forward cannons doing 10d12 damage, the White Star has a total of 85 hit points, and 8 times 12 is what is it, 96? I think it is. That seems about right. Anyway, 96, yeah, it's enough that it could kill a White Star if it rolled, high on all of its dice. Otherwise, though, it would be able to two-shot a White Star, so it's really incumbent on the White Star to not let them get 2 shots. 1, bad, but acceptable. 2 shots? No. However, it's also got missiles. 3d8 damage. So, if we're comparing it to the White Star, again, it's significant, but a couple of missile hits isn't going to stop a White Star. And the mines, forget about it. The twin particle array is short, so, again, just stay out of range of it. So I think that the Vorchan looks really, really good. So, then we move on to the Primus. The Primus is technically the older of the 2 vessels. That being said, we made it 1 size bigger, it's a cruiser, and it looks good. 255 hit points. It's got lots of cannons. So many cannons. It looks really good. And I actually went back and added more cannons to it, which upped it to a tier 12. Now, I get what I can hear what you're saying. Why add more cannons and up the tier? Well, there's actually a good reason. I went back and I did a lot of research into Babylon 5 and the Centauri ships in general. And there's not much to go by. We see the Centauri ships a fair amount, actually, but we don't actually see them doing much. There is one episode of the show, however, where we actually do get to see a Primus vessel in combat. It takes place during the Narn-Centauri War, the second Narn-Centauri War to be specific, when Babylon 5 has offered sanctuary to a Narn cruiser. a Primus shows up and demands that the Babylon 5 station surrender the vessel and the crew and pretty much everybody else involved. The crew of the station says no. And so, and this is where things get really interesting and really important. And so, the Primus decides it's going to go to war with both the Babylon 5 station, its Star Furies, and the Narn cruiser. And part of that is it opens fire with all of its forward batteries, targeting both the station and the cruiser. And it does this very successfully. You can watch it from the perspective of the Primus, firing a stream of energy shots towards both targets at once. Before, we only had the one ion cannon on there, which meant that while it was in line with what a cruiser would be mounting, it meant that the cruiser that we built was absolutely incapable of engaging more than one target at a time. Which is something that it needs to do, and it's something that kind of changes the entire profile of what the ship is. The Primus is less of a battleship and more of an artillery piece, which is why they fly them in a box formation, and their entire doctrine is just overwhelming firepower. They lay down layers and layers of it to just screen out anything. So, adding more ion cannons to the front means that this thing has a very interesting profile now. It is capable of engaging multiple targets at a time. It is capable of saturation fire now. And that does up the, it ups the tier a bit. It's now a tier 12, which I think is fair. I think that's a very fair adjustment. So, everything looks good there. The Primus is a fantastic ship, and I think we're ready to move on from the Centauri. So when we move on to the Centauri, what are we doing? Well, we're getting into now the League of Non-Aligned Worlds. Now, when it comes to the League of Non-Aligned Worlds, if I jump back here to the races that we did, we've got Minbari, we've got Centauri, Narn, humans are obviously included by default, but then we've got a whole bunch of other races. We've got the Abai, we've got the Drazi, the Gayam, the Hayak, the Lort, the Pakmara, the Yolu, the Vree. We did all of these races because all of them had information about them, and there are still more that don't have information. These are the League of Non-Aligned Worlds. They are spacefaring races, but none of them have the military power or economic influence to really shape the galaxy around them. And JP just says hair fans. Okay, well, those hair fans come with a lot of other things. Anyway, the League comes with their own ships, although not many of them. And while every single race presumably has their own blueprints, we only see a few of them, and of the few that we see, fewer still actually get any kind of information on them. So to start off with, if I go to the actual Babylon 5 project wiki, and we look at the League ships, they list the following. There's an Abai gunship, a Brakiri cruiser, a Drazi shuttle. We're not doing the shuttles. A shuttle is a shuttle. I don't care. The Drazi Sunhawk, a Grom corvette, a Her gunship, an Iksha warship, Markab transport. I don't care about the transports. There's a Vree Zil class cruiser, a Vree saucer, and a Yolu ship. Now that's interesting because that seems like a rather long list of ships to go through. That's on par with Earth Force. However, if I come over here to the tech manual, this is it. they list the Avioki class cruiser for the Brakiri, the Sunhawk for the Drazi, and the Sky Serpent class for the Drazi as well, and the Zor and Zil cruisers for the Vri. That's it. So it's worth assuming that all of these will get done. The question then becomes, how many of these can we do? So if I look at the Abai gunship, is there anything here? No. There's really not. It says it has energy shields. That's unique, I guess. But without anything else to go by, I can literally create this with anything and just add some shields to it. Okay. The Grom Corvette. No picture. It says it's an unknown class of military vessel deployed by the Grom ruling body. It says it was designed by Luke Maynard for the unreleased computer game Into the Fire. So again, nothing we can do. The Her gunship, probably the same thing? Well, no, actually. There is something here. The principal craft of the Andromeda Republic Naval Guard, a product of the Her's relatively low level of technological sophistication, is considered less capable than ships engineered by other more advanced races. Similar to the Grom Corvette, it was doomed before the first vessel rolled off the assembly line. A victim of the Androma Assembly's bureaucratic inefficiency and internal politics, the ship was redesigned to suit their political alliances, mandating changes that forced the builders to use of substandard systems, inefficient construction methods, and in the end, the Finnish ships were unable to meet even the modest performance expectations of the originally intended design. Typically, poor cooperation between Her vessels during engagement often leads to confusion in combat, multiple ships congregating on the same given target. Despite that, even this very basic level of fleet cohesion was superior to the Grom, and gave the Her a slight edge in their brief war in 2260. So there's really nothing here to speak of. Again, the behind the scenes, it was developed for the unreleased game Into the Fire. It says it has 2 heavy plasma cannons. And it says it's 250 meters long. Technically speaking, I could make something out of that. I don't think I'm going to, but I could. An Iksha warship? I don't want that. So, okay, I actually know this scene. So there's an Iksha warship, also referred to as a battle globe, used by the Iksha. Is not capable of flying inside of a planetary atmosphere. That's interesting. That means that we either write a special rule for it, or we simply make it huge. But we have no information on it. So probably skipping that one. And that leaves us with the Vri, which are on the tech manual, and the Yolu ship. And the Yolu ship has nothing, so pointless. So, yeah, we can pretty much do this just from the tech manual, which means that we have a grand total of 5 ships to build. And seeing as how I'm only really able to get maybe 3 done every time we do this, it might take us a couple of sessions. It's okay, though. We're going to make our way through it. So I suppose we'll just do these in order because we're not really doing them by size. We'll start with the Avioki class cruiser. So we'll start with that, and here. Now, the Brakiri cruiser. Let's read up on what we can find out. So the wiki says, these ships belong to one of the wealthiest and most politically stable races in the League of Non-Aligned Worlds. It is also one of the largest ships deployed by the League. So we know that it's very large. Good. Also, it says right here that it is jump capable. Also good to know. It is one of the largest ships in the League. The ships themselves, however, are inferior to those of the Earth Alliance, as is their weaponry. Alright, so we're talking about not good technology. Lots of size, but it's all flash and no substance. In keeping with the rest of Brachyria society, the ships are owned and operated by mega corporations and thus must contribute to the Brachyria economy when not on military duty, serving as passenger liners, transports, or colony ships. Several of these ships fought in the Shadow War, including the Battle of Sector 83 and the Battle of Coriana 6. According to the non-canon sources, we do have some information. It says crew is about 500, give or take. Weapons, 8 graviton beams, 30 graviton pulsars, 16 turreted light laser cannons, as well as shuttles and cutters, whatever a cutter is. I mean, I get what a cutter is when you're talking about, like, boats, like a Coast Guard cutter, but I'm not sure if that's the same thing here. Babylon 5 Wars says it has 4 graviton pulsars, 4 graviton beams. The role-playing game Ships of the Galaxy says that it's got 1 twin-linked graviton beam, 2 graviton beams independent, and 2 twin-linked graviton pulsars. There's not a lot for me to do here, honestly. And this is all non-canon anyway. So what do we have that is possibly canon? According to the tech manual, this thing is 1,000 meters long. That makes it the same length as a Hyperion cruiser. Since we already have data for a Hyperion cruiser, and it's a huge cruiser, there we go. We know what we're going to make this thing by default. 350 crew, 400 troops, 6 fighters. So, okay, we don't actually know what the fighters are, though. I mean, it did mention in the one that they had cutters. Maybe those cutters are their fighters. I'm not sure. According to the weapons, 4 particle beam cannons, 4 pulse cannons, and then Fussian missiles. Okay, I'm not making that up. It says Fussian missiles. Yes, I know it's petty, but I'm going to pick on the lack of spell checking. So again, it says right here, Brachyria, one of the wealthiest, was politically stable. We read literally all of this back on the wiki. So, we'll go ahead and we'll make it a cruiser. Probably not a very good cruiser, but we'll make it a cruiser. We're just going to build this thing standard. So we'll come back here to starships, we'll go to base frames, and we will make them a cruiser. There it is. Now, interestingly, the cruiser by default does come with 1 forward capital weapon, and then light on port and starboard, and then 1 heavy turret. That actually seems a little bit more heavily armed than the wiki would lead us to believe. So we'll try and dial things down to make it more canon. We'll try. So first off, species. This is the Brachyri. Did I spell that right? Brakiri. Yeah, I spelled it right. Good for me. Thank you, me. And this is the Avioki. Perfect. As far as the rest of the stuff goes, crew. It did list a crew. According to this, it has a crew of 350 people. So, sure. Nope, not that one. So, 350 people. And it says 400 troops. So, passengers, 400. Now we'll get into the actual ship itself. It's going to be a huge cruiser. That's going to give it average maneuverability, which is no bonus, and a turn rate of 2. By the by, the cruiser's going to cost us 60, so we may as well write that down right now. That means that by default, the armor class and target lock will be 10. Damage threshold is going to be 36. It's a big ship. It's a tanky ship. Wait, did that backwards. That's a 5. That's the damage threshold. Critical threshold is 36. And standard HP is going to be 180. And as far as we know, it does not come with any shields or any additional armor. Power core we'll get later. However, jump capable? Yes. We know that it is jump capable. Now, being a cruiser and being huge... Let's see, medium large ships can have 3 weapon mounts per arc and per turret. Huge and larger can have 4 weapon mounts per arc and per turret. So, we will go ahead and light all of these as possible. The cruiser itself, though, has just 1 forward capital. It has light port and starboard. And a heavy turret. There we go. And since this thing is supposed to be lightly armed, I do not see a reason to go any further than that. And these things did fight in the Shadow War, so I think we can go ahead and just give them their due. We're going to give them probably the least powerful weapons that we can. And we'll just try and make the best of it. So, getting back to the datasheet. It says that it has 4 particle beam cannons, 4 pulse cannons, and fusion missiles. I only have 4 slots to use, and I have 3 things to add. So, what I think we're going to do is this. I think we're going to go ahead and put the particle beam cannons on the front. We can put the pulse cannons on the turret, which again, pulse is going to mean plasma. And then fusion missiles, we can go ahead and throw those on port and starboard. They will simply be light tactical nuclear missiles. They're not going to have too much of a punch to them, but they're about the best you can get for missiles. As far as everything else goes, particle beams are not exactly the most powerful, and plasma weapons, we'll see. And PC's here. Hello, PC. Good to see you here. We're making a Brakiri ship. Alright, so we'll come down here to notes real quick. So first things first. The particle beam cannons. Since we're going to put this on the front, we'll need to go ahead and find... Oh, wait, before I do that. Cruiser. Cruiser has 6 expansion bays. I'm not filling them. Although this thing does supposedly have a hangar. And so, maybe I should give it one? I mean, it does say it has fighter craft. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and put it here. I'm going to give it a hangar. I don't know what we're putting in the hangar, but it has a hangar. It's the best I can do with this, really. But the particle beam cannon, this is again going to be our forward capital weapon. So let's see what we have for particle weapons in the capital section. For the capital weapons, we have the particle beam cannon, and then we have the persistent particle beam cannon. The regular particle beam is 3d4 times 10, so minimum 30, maximum 120. The persistent particle beam is 2d10 times 10, so minimum 20, maximum of 200. I'm gonna go with... Honestly, I don't really want either one of them, to be fair. I think it goes against what it was saying about them being very lightly armed and kind of inferior to everyone else. At the same time, though, the names match, and so I'm inclined to do it anyway. The weakest possible weapon, though, is laser weaponry. So, for example, the super laser right here is the most powerful. It's the least powerful, I should say. 2d4 times 10, so a minimum of 20, maximum of 80. Which means that the particle beam cannon, it's more powerful, but it's still kind of in line. The minimum is higher by 10, the maximum is higher by 40. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use it. Just because the names match. Since the names match, I think it's fine to give it to them. So, particle beam cannon is going to equal a... It's literally the same name. Particle beam cannon. I'll just go ahead and put it in there. Particle beam cannon. If I had to actually do this, be capital particle beam cannon. There we go. That way, because I don't think there's anything that really differentiates the I don't think there's anything that really differentiates the capital from the heavy. So particle beam cannon. Oh, no, this is just a particle beam. That's what differentiates them. One's a cannon, one's not. So, I don't actually need the capital on there. It can stay exactly how it is. Now, next is going to be the pulse cannons. Since these are going to be heavy... pulse cannons are going to be plasma, so it's just going to be plasma cannons right here. And then, of course, the Fussian missiles. Again, not making it up. It's right there. Get a copy editor. But those are simply going to be the... Where are they? Somewhere around here. Tactical nuclear missile launcher. Tactical nuclear missile. There we go. So let's go ahead and slap these things in. First things first, since we're on it. Fusion missile. So it's a tracking weapon with speed 10. And it deals 5d8 damage. It has irradiate, low, and a limit of 5. Perfect. And that's going to cost us 10 and 18. So the nice thing about missiles is they don't require a ton of power. So we'll put those on each side, that way they have access to a total of 10 missiles. Which is not too bad. So, this one will be the pulse cannon. We'll scroll down here to the plasma cannon and get ourselves some numbers. So, medium 5d12. I should honestly have this memorized at this point. Nothing special about them. And what is it, 20 and 30? 30 and 20. I had it backwards. And then for the capital weapon, it's going to be the particle beam cannon. There it is. And so it's going to be particle beam cannon. It's long at 3d4 times 10. And again, nothing special about it. It's the big sandblaster in space. It's going to cost us 30 and 30. And so there we go. We'll just leave this thing bog standard. We're not going to arm this thing to the teeth or anything like that. As far as the computer goes, it's going to be basic. As far as countermeasures go, I'm not giving them any. As far as these sensors go, these are going to be budget long, because there's nothing to say that they don't, so these give no bonuses at all. Or is it basic long? Now I'm not sure. It might be basic. Sensors? Nope, budget long is the one to go with. Perfect. And they're going to cost us 6. Not 60, just 6. Stop autofilling. The hangar, how much is that going to cost us again? It's been a while. And Alden is in. Hello, Alden. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in the stream for a while. We're building a cruiser. Alright, so Hangar Bay is going to cost us 30 power and 10 points. So 30 and 10. Perfect. And with that, I think we're ready to figure out... Oh, wait, we still gotta give it some thrusters. I always forget the thrusters, don't I? Alden says, aye, busy with stuff. I believe it. Let's see. Thrusters for a huge ship. What options do we have? We have H8 and H10 thrusters. I am going to err on the bottom side of this, and I'm going to give them the H8 thrusters. So H8 is going to be just 8 hexes, because that's what it's named after. There is no bonus. The power requirement for it is going to be 140, and it's going to cost us 8. All right, perfect. So with the thrusters in, I think we can start doing the math. Not the math. Don't do drugs. All right, so 140 for the thrusters. We've got 30 for the forward particle beam. Another 20 for our missiles. Another 30 for the pulse cannon. And another 30 for the hangar. For a perfectly even 250. And since we got 250, now we know what we need for a power core. Let's see if we can get a 250. That would be just absolutely perfect if we can do that. So we need something in the heavy area. The Nova Light is 150. The Nova Heavy is 200. There is no 250. So the only way to do this is to jump up to the Nova Ultra at 300. Not what I wanted to do, but I suppose it gives some room for expansion. Okay, and JP says thruster mounts matter. Yes, they do. We do kind of need those. Alright, so that takes care of the Nova Ultra. And it's actually a little bit sad that I don't have the jump engine done because I have no idea if that should add to the build points or not. I'm not even really sure what a jump engine is or looks like, so that's kind of hard to do. But okay, let's do build points. What tier is this ship going to be? So we got 60 for the frame, and another 8 for the thrusters. The Nova Ultra is going to cost us 30. The particle beam cannon is going to cost us 30. The 2 missiles together are going to cost us 36. The pulse cannon will cost us 20, the sensors are 6, and the hangar is 10, which is an even 200. I said these things are owned and operated by corporations, and it kind of looks that way on paper. These numbers are way too clean. Somebody's getting an audit from the IRS. And PC says, just use duct tape. It'll be fine. Yes, duct tape the thrusters to the side. Does that count as an expansion bay? Probably going to lower your maneuverability still. Okay, so an even 200 build points. This should actually slot in really nicely. So 200, there actually is no 200. Tier 7 is 180 and Tier 8 is 205. Since we can't go over, or since we automatically round up, I should say, that means that this ship is going to be a Tier 8. Also, it'll cost 200,000 credits. Alright, so a Tier 8 is going to entitle it to an additional, no, I want to keep this page. An additional HP boost, actually 2 HP boosts. And so for the cruiser, those HP boosts are going to be 25. Which means that this is going to get a plus 50 hull points. From 180, that'll turn this to 230. Now, interestingly enough, I kind of want to go back and compare this thing to other cruisers before we go forward. Just to see if it actually lives up to the lack of a reputation. So, comparing the Evoke to, let's say, the Primus. So if we look at these, what does the Evoke look like next to the Primus? It's slower. Not more maneuverable or anything like that, but it is slower. Because it is a lower tier, it's also lacking in HP. The Primus has 255 compared to the 230. As far as the weapons go, completely outclassed. I mean, the Primus is carrying enough, it's carrying enough firepower to just wipe it out. And Alden says, gonna bounce. Have fun. Absolutely, it was good seeing you, even if it was brief. Hopefully we get to see you next time, too. You take care. As far as the armaments go, again, the forward arms, Technically, the Evoki can outrange it. However, with the speed differential between them, it's not going to outrange forever. They both have missiles, although the Evoki's missiles are better. I mean, it is worth saying that the tactical nuclear missiles are going to be better. And their turrets are both pretty much the same. So that looks good. What about the Narn cruiser? That would be their Jiquan class. Again, if we compare it to the Jiquan class has the same amount of hull points. However, it also has more armor, which means that this thing is going to shrug off a few more hits, which is good for them. As far as the weapons go, it has the same loadout, essentially. It has the forward long capital mount. It has mines. We actually did fudge the rules a little bit, because technically, rules as written, mines are only supposed to go on the aft. I put them on the side. I don't think it's that much of a big deal. I could be wrong. So you can tell me if I'm wrong to do that, okay? I won't be offended. I'm also not going to change it, but you can still tell me I'm wrong. And then, for the turret, they both still have pulse cannons. Pretty much the same pulse cannons, actually. In fact, they probably are the same pulse cannons. However, the Jiquan has 2 hangars with more interceptors, so it's going to give them the edge, I think. And then, of course, if we come back and compare it to the Hyperion, I will copy and paste. So the Hyperion is a tier 10, which means that it has the same hit points, it has the same armor, a lot of this stuff is the same right out the gate. Where it changes, the armaments. Because the Hyperion is just armed to the teeth. Now, a lot of what the Hyperion has going for it, though, is going to be point defense. Because it has an entire turret full of point defense, which means that the Evoki has missiles. Those missiles are probably not getting through. A lot of the weapons on the Hyperion are short range, which is fine. It does have the dual phase long particle cannons, which means this thing is an absolute monster from the front, and it even has its own nuclear torpedoes. So, monster from the front, untouchable from the sides and back though. So if you can stay out from in front of it, you might stand a chance for a while, but nobody gets lucky forever. So, I think that it really stacks up well. It's not going to be the big kid on the block, but I think it could hold its own in theory. So, with that being done, that is pretty much the only Brachiory ship we have, so we're going to go ahead and move on. And when we move on, the next ship in line is the Drazi Sunhawk. I'm not going to do the Drazi Sunhawk yet. If we're going to do Drazi, we're going to start with their fighter. So we'll back up a little bit. We'll take a look at their fighter craft and see what we can build. So on the wiki for the League of Non-Aligned Worlds, the Sky Serpent is the only one that we ever see. And that's a terrible picture. That's an absolutely awful picture. It's so washed out because of the weapons fire. Anyway, what does it say? It says the Drazi Sky Serpent is one of the most powerful fighters found in the League of Non-Aligned Worlds. It's the only fighter found in the League of Non-Aligned Worlds. Pretty sure that makes you the most powerful by default. It is credited with changing the view of many worlds' approach to fighter construction. It is possible for a single Sky Serpent to be birthed with a Drazi Sunhawk variant. Many Sky Serpents saw service along the Shadow War, including the Battle of Sector 83. An undamaged Sky Serpent is capable of surviving after taking a direct hit from a Centauri blockade platform's energy weapon. Now it says a blockade platform, not a Vorchan destroyer. Because I don't think that any fighter is surviving a direct shot from a destroyer. Especially the twin-linked forward cannons. It says here that it is, only 20 meters long, one pilot, not jump capable, doesn't have gravity. Weapons are unknown, it's just some kind of pulsed energy weapon. The datasheet will probably have more. Let's see. Characteristics. The following is based on Babylon 5 Into the Fire. Well, that game is non-canon, so I'm not using that. So we'll go to the datasheet. So there is a better picture. It's a little cut off, but there's a better picture of the Sky Serpent. This is only 15 meters long. Powered by fusion batteries. Duration is 20 minutes. 20 minutes. I mean, really think about that for a minute. In the episode where they discover Babylon 5, or they discover Babylon 4, actually. They discovered the little time portal thing. Which I still think was a bad idea, but hey, they're the ones that wanted to do time travel. It was, I believe, either a 6 or 8 hour haul in normal space to get to where the portal was. And they did that in a Star Fury. Long day for the Star Fury pilot. This thing only runs for 20 minutes before the lights turn off. That's just insulting. And JP says nothing survives 4chan. This is truer than you think. Let's see. The details here, it just says probably the most powerful fighter in the League of Online Worlds. It is credited with changing the many views. This is literally copy and pasted from the wiki. Most races adhere to the Centauri principle when it came to construction of fighters. Light, fast, and maneuverable, built to defend capital ships from the more maneuverable gunships and small cruisers. Okay, fine. That's fine. So I'm going to come over here. We're going to say this is going to be Drazi. And this is going to be a Sky Serpent. The crew is 1. The passengers don't exist. It's going to be tiny. And it's going to be an interceptor. Again, because it only has 1 seat. If it had 2 seats, I'd make it a fighter. But it's not. Maneuverability, I don't even need to look. It is perfect. It is a +2 bonus for piloting and a turn rate of 0. It's not going to get armor, though. Okay, now for numbers. We're going to go up and take a look at this. Also, Blizz says, gotta go. Have a great day, everyone. Well, I am glad that you came by. I was glad to see you. So I hopefully will see you next week. And until then, take care. And JP says, I know that's not what you're saying, but it is what I'm hearing. I mean, I'm sure that the Centauri had some form of 4chan. They're the kind of people that would. Okay, Interceptor, here we go, Interceptor. So, we got all that stuff. The HP is going to be 30. But I'll get to that in a second. Default armor class is going to be 12 and 12. Damage threshold doesn't exist. Critical threshold is 6. And hull points are going to be 30. So we got that. As far as shields, And additional armor go. None of that. Power core, we'll get to that later. Jump engine, no. They do not have one. As far as weapon mounts, technically speaking, as a tiny ship, it can mount 2 to every facing, as far as I know. Not sure if there's special rules for an interceptor or not. By default, however, it does have 2 forward mounts. So I'll change those to green. And of course it has no expansion space. So what else can we infer? Let's check the interceptor page real quick. No, it says nothing else. So technically speaking, all of those weapon mounts are available. They're just not on this ship. So, what are we putting on it then? Well, according to the datasheet, this thing only has 2 pulse cannons. No missiles, no nothing else. And so we can do that. The only problem is, okay, and this is a bit of a problem, you can only fire 1 weapon at a time, which is where other ships that carry missiles really shine. Because while you're flying, you could use the glide minor crew action, and then you could choose to fire either your primary weapon or a secondary weapon, like a missile. If I just give it 2 forward pulse cannons, I mean, what am I going to do? Unless, what if I twin linked them? We did that before with the Centauri. What if we twin link them? Okay, let's do this. We'll make this work. Alright, so 2 pulse cannons. Coming down here to the notes, obviously, pulse cannon is going to equal anything with a pulse is going to be plasma. And this is not the page that I want. It's okay, though. I can get to the page that I want. So, where is it? Light plasma cannon, right here. Light plasma cannon. 2d12. Fantastic. So there we go. That's all we need. So pulse cannon. And we'll grab the information here. It's going to be short at 2d12. Otherwise, it would be normal. However, I'm going to put linked here. And I will copy it down. So the pulse cannon would normally be 10 PCU and 12 build points. However, because it is also going to be linked, I believe the linking is considered to be half of the build points of the weapon. Where was that? And JP says, anything with a pulse is plasma. Yeah, I guess we do pump plasma. We do indeed. Good catch. I mean, I'm not your proctor, but if I had the ability, I would pass you on this exam. Let's see. This does not show me what I want. What does show me what I want? Full rules on starship weapons. This is what I want. Linking weapons. If you install two of the same direct fire weapon in the same arc, you can link them together to save fire as one. Costs a number of build points equal to half the cost of one of the weapons rounded down, and consumes negligible. Okay, so yes, perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. So linked is going to cost us 6, but that means that this fighter is going to hit with the power of 4d12. Is this a mistake? If we compare this to other fighters, is this a mistake? So, for example, the Aurora class and even the Thunderbolt class Star Furies, they have the pulse discharge cannons, which are plasma cannons. They are short at 2d12. They also have a grappler. At least the Aurora does. The Thunderbolt comes with a high explosive missile. So again, we're trading the cannons for other options. The Minbari, their interceptor is the Nile class. It comes with a neutron fusion beam and a tractor beam. So again, they have options, and their neutron fusion beam is better by virtue of being medium range. It's not going to match the 4d12 that the Sky Serpent is doing, but if they can shoot you and you can't shoot them. The Frazi class is also packing a high explosive missile launcher, and the Sentry class is packing fusion missiles. So everybody is packing options except for the Sky Serpent. So I think that linking their weapons would give them a competitive edge. They're not looking for versatility, they're just saying do one thing and do it very, very well. So I'm going to give it to them. As far as the computers and everything go, basic computer is fine for them. They get no countermeasures, and the sensors will be budget. Well, actually, no. The sensors will just be... no, budget short. I was going to say cut rate, but we'll be nice to them. We'll just say they get budget short. I think that's going to cost us 2. I could be wrong, but it might cost us 2. So, budget short range, yeah, it's 2. I kind of figured. Alright, so is that everything we need? I think that's everything we need. Oh, I didn't get the cost for the interceptor, and I still need thrusters. So, base frames, interceptor costs 6. And for thruster speed, so PC says, are you taking into account the squadron effects? Yes and no. I suppose it depends on how you mean. So every fighter is going to be is going to have the potential to squadron up. And when they squadron up, they get to combine their number of attacks and their hit points. If a whole bunch of these Sky Serpents were to get together with their twin-linked cannons, that would make them absolutely terrifying. However, the Drazi Sunhawk we haven't done yet, and I don't know how many fighters they're actually bringing to a fight. We know that the Earth ships are bringing wings, and every wing is a dozen Star Furies. They are meant to fly together. I do see how this could be somewhat of a concern, though. Okay, I'm thinking about it, and I see how this could be very concerning, because If we're going to combine all of these attacks into one, throwing twin-linked fire like that could be easily overwhelming, and it could mean that the Sky Serpent actually kind of sort of outclasses other ships. Now, what is going to counterbalance that? First off, I don't think that they'll be able to bring as many to bear at one time. So there's our first limiter. It's not a great limiter, because if they bring more ships means more fighters, and so we're right back to the same problem. Their weapons fire is also still short range, which means that basically everybody will be able to outrange them in some way. And if you can shoot them, they can shoot you. So that is also a problem. Or actually, that's also a balance. But does it mean that they're possibly a little overtuned? Maybe. They might be. I'm still inclined to let them have it, though. And the reason being is that every other fighter has filled both of those forward slots. So I'm inclined to fill both forward slots on this one, too. And I think it'll make a lot more sense when we do the actual Sunhawk, because the Sunhawk, I believe, is also going to be a forward-heavy vessel. So we'll have to wait and see. Like the Brakiri cruiser, I didn't put too much thought into the weapon placement because it is a cruiser. A cruiser having, 360-degree coverage is expected. I do not know what the profile for the Sunhawk is going to be yet. If it is what I think it is, it's probably going to end up being a forward-heavy destroyer. But I'm not sure, because we're not there yet. But it's okay. We're going to get there soon. So for the time being, I need thrusters. And I'm going to go ahead and actually, here's something else I can do. I'm going to give them the T8 thrusters. Okay? I'm going to go at the bottom of these thrusters here. So, thrusters. T8. Now, what did I just do here? Every single other interceptor that we have made, up to and including the Aurora, has had T10. So by making the Sky Serpents slower than everybody else, we make it harder for them to bring that full firepower to bear. And so it's going to be, when they get it into place, they will be able to unleash absolute hell. But until then, you're still safe from them. Positioning will matter. Screening will matter. And ignoring them because they're just fighters will punish you severely. That'll be a good balance. So, the T8 thruster pilot bonus is going to be none. As far as the power requirements and everything goes, it's going to be 25 and 4. Alright, and that should be enough for us to start doing some totals. As far as the totals, I don't even need a calculator for this one. 25 plus 10 plus 10 is going to be 45. We only need 45 power. And so what's going to get us that power? The absolute smallest is the Micron Light at 50, which is going to do us just fine. And there we go. So, now that we've got that, let's go ahead and total up our build points, which again, I don't need a calculator for this one. 6 and 4 is 10, 5 is 15, 12 and 12 is 24, plus 6 is going to be 30, so 15 and 30 is going to be 45. Wow, didn't see that coming. So it'll cost 45,000 credits. More importantly, though, put that in the wrong place. What tier is it? Because ideally, this should be tier 1. Did we keep it in tier 1? 45 is over tier half. It's under tier 1, so yes, it is a tier 1 fighter. Perfectly in line with every other fighter that we built. And I like it. It is in line with every other fighter we built. They're all tier 1s, but every single other fighter has something that makes it unique. For the Aurora, it has the Grappler, which is just a tractor beam, but still, it has the Grappler. For the Thunderbolt, it comes with missiles. And that's pretty much it, but it comes with missiles. Also, the Thunderbolt is a bit heavier, so it has 5 more hit points, it has a higher critical threshold. You know, it's a little bit tougher. Just, you know, being what it is, it's a little bit larger. For the Minbari vessels, they have medium range, not to mention they have better hulls. For the Narn, they come with armor, as well as missiles. For the Centauri, they come with medium-range weapons as well as missiles, and now we have the Sky Serpent, which comes with twin-linked forward weapons, which are absolutely punishing. Every single race has something unique, which I think is just the way it's supposed to be. Alright, so now what about the big brother? The Drazi Sunhawk. Let's see what we can do with this and see what we can either use for our advantage or what we can go back and change on the other ship. So, League of Non-Line Worlds. Drazi Sunhawk. Here we go. And there's a picture of a Sunhawk. In my opinion, the Sunhawk is one of the more iconic ships in Babylon 5, which is in no way lacking in iconic ship designs, but the Sunhawk is just so good. I like it. I really do. So it says here that the Sunhawk is a type of medium warship used as an A-class battle cruiser by the Drazi military. I don't think that actually means anything, but sure. The Pakmara are also using Sunhawk-class ships as transports. Now there's something interesting. We didn't have a Pakmara ship. Apparently the Pakmara are using Drazi ships. Which means that the Drazi didn't just build their ships, they're selling them. The Drazi Freehold uses these ships for various purposes, ranging from assault missions through escort missions to patrolling duties. Sunhawks played a key role during the Second Shadow War on the side of the Army of Light. I like how they keep saying that it's the Second Shadow War. It's the Second Shadow War that we know of. Because none of the current races were alive for any of the previous wars. So, this says it is a medium-scale capital ship with a length of 200 meters. That is not very big. Characteristics. It is configured only for non-atmospheric combat, and while the ship is not equipped with dedicated hangar bay, the Sunhawk can be adapted to mount a single Sky Serpent fighter on a dorsal docking cradle. There we go. That is interesting because that I can use. If we come back here, and we go to expansion bays, we've used these before, but... where is it? There we go. Launch tubes. Designed to fit on a medium and large vessel, these tubes allow the ship to carry a single smaller vessel that can be launched at the start of any helm phase. A launch tube takes up 2 expansion bays and can hold 1 tiny starship, which the Sky Serpent is. So we know what to put on this thing. It can have it gets a launch tube. This is why we read things. The Sunhawk was initially designed less than a year before the Dilgar War and was rushed into production by the Freehold as hostilities escalated. As a result, the Sunhawks have seen a number of upgrades both to the drive systems and armaments over the year. By 2264, a Sunhawk standard armament consisted of 4 medium pulse cannons mounted on outboard nacelles, a single nose-mounted particle beam cannon that was added to the design in 2238, and a pair of missile launchers that became part of the Sunhawk standard munitions in 2257. Like other Drazi ships, Sunhawks utilize a unique drive and power system significantly different from those of other races, such as particle thrust engines on the Earth Alliance ships, or the gravimetric drives on Minbari vessels. However, in 2239, the Freehold acquired Centauri power and drive technology from the Narn regime, which was then retrofitted to a few select craft. Now that is interesting because that tells us several things that I assumed were wrong. I assumed that the Centauri were using gravimetric drive systems like the Minbari. Apparently, they may not have been. Although this does not explicitly say that they aren't. It simply differentiated them and said that Centauri and Minbari drive systems are different. Says the Drazi military organization intentionally decentralized, stemming from the idea that they work best in smaller groups, and the Sunhawk was built with this in mind. As a smaller and less costly ship to build in comparison to larger scale, more traditional capital ships such as the Minbari Federation's Shaolin class, or the Earth Alliance Omega class destroyer, the Sunhawk could be built in larger numbers and be deployed over a wider area. So, it is a smaller ship, and it is a smaller ship on purpose. This thing is really looking like a destroyer. The Sunhawk could be built in larger numbers, be deployed in a wider area when missions required the firepower of a heavy cruiser. It is simple enough to organize a small task force of Sunhawks whose combined tactical strength compensates for the relative weakness of a single Sunhawk. During the Shadow War, the Drazi committed a large number of Sunhawks to multi-planetary fleet organized by Sheridan, retaining the recently upgraded Sunhawks for homeworld defense, sending only ships still in original configuration for the conflict. They also acted in a supporting role for the Earth Alliance Resistance Liberation Fleet alongside other League vessels during the later phase of the conflict in 2261. They would later see action in the Centauri War 2262 and the anticipated defense of Earth during the onset of the Drakh War in 2266. So lots of good information there. Let's take a look at the datasheet. So here's what the datasheet says. And PC says, so how did you get court-martialed? All I did was say where our fighter pilot was when asked. That doesn't seem so bad. I know, right? I told him the truth. He was so out to lunch. Out to launch, actually. Boo! It's a bad joke. Okay, Drazi Sunhawk. And again, I'm sorry that the picture is cut off because it's really a pretty ship. You can see part of it at least. I need like a better way to do the stream. And I don't know how better to do it. If somebody has suggestions on how better to do the stream, let me know. Okay, so it says it is a Sunhawk. The type specifically says it is a gunship. Now, I don't exactly know what that means for me, but they didn't call it a destroyer or a cruiser or anything like that. They called it a gunship. The only gunships I've ever heard of were helicopters. And, I mean, helicopters are Well, I mean, they have fixed weapons. Sometimes they have turrets on them, though. I don't know. I'm thinking too much of it. The length is 350 meters, which does put it kind of in large category. Crew of 12. Cramped quarters, I'm sure. One fighter locked on her back. That's what it says right there. Powered by one fusion reactor. Duration is 2 months. Here we go. Weapons. It has 1 heavy plasma cannon, 4 pulse cannons, 3 particle beam cannons, and 2 fusion missile launchers. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. 350 meters to me says that this is going to be a large ship at best. So again, if a cruiser is huge at roughly 1 kilometer, half that size would be large. That's 500 meters. Anything less than that, and say from like 250 meters to 500, large. So I think we're looking at making a destroyer. Now, as we are making a destroyer, we look at what we can do with this. It says tiny and small ships can only have 2 weapon mounts per arc and per turret. Medium and large starships can have only 3 weapon mounts per arc and per turret. So, if we come over here and take a look at the destroyer, let's go ahead and put a destroyer together, by default first. So, base frames, destroyer. I've passed it. There it is. There's the destroyer. Okay. So first off, size. Well, actually, first crew. Does it say 16? I believe it has 16. Size is going to be large. Frame destroyer. The maneuverability for a destroyer, I believe, is average. Yes, it's average. So, no bonus, and it turns every 2 hexes. Also, a destroyer is going to cost us what? 30. Lovely. Armor, I'm not giving it any armor, which means that its AC and TL are going to be 10s. The damage threshold doesn't exist. And the critical threshold is 30. Hit points are going to start at 150. Okay, no shields, no additional blade of armor. And is it jump capable? I believe the answer is yes. However, it doesn't say on here. Does it say on the wiki? Let's see. Length, beam, draft, mass, crew, weapons, auxiliary craft. It does not say. However, the picture right here is literally coming out of a jump gate. I don't remember if I've ever seen them jump on their own. I'll research that later, okay? For right now, I'll leave it blank. I'm pretty sure that they can jump on their own. Like, I'm almost certain they can jump on their own. But I'll make sure. Now, as a large craft, it can mount 3 weapons per arc. And don't worry, I'm doing this for a reason. I am absolutely doing this for a reason. And as far as the computer and everything goes, it's going to share the same stuff as everyone else. And expansion space, because we actually need to pay attention to this one, 4. It has a launch tube. I believe it said that the launch tube takes up 2 slots, but we'll get back to that later. Okay, now, I marked these down because I said we're going to need them. And the reason why is because this gunship has pretty much everything in a forward fixed position. So, when we look at the destroyer, it says it has 2 forward heavy mounts. It has 1 light port, 1 light starboard, 1 light aft, and 1 light turret. That is 5 mounts. Alright, count them up. So what does the Sunhawk have? It says that it has 1 heavy plasma cannon, 4 pulse cannons, 3 particle beam cannons, and 2 fusion launchers. That is 5 mounts. Well, technically, it's more than that. But if we give it 1 heavy plasma cannon, 1 pulse cannon, 1 particle beam, and then the 2 fusion missile launchers, that's the 5. We just have to reconfigure the ship to fit that. So, here's what I'm proposing. I am going to fill up the forward arc. And this is going to be heavy, heavy, and light. Okay? And then we will go ahead and keep the port and starboard. And we're just going to straight up lose the aft and turret because we're just throwing everything forward. We didn't need one of them, so it's going to be fine. And PC says, singing, and a missile launched at perigee. I don't know the song, though, so I don't know how to sing it. Alright, so let's do this then. First things first, I need to get the notes down. So, notes. The first thing on the list is the heavy plasma cannon. This is super easy because that's just a plasma cannon. Alright, next is going to be the pulse cannons. Well, since it changed, or it stated the difference between the plasma cannons and the pulse cannons, and since they're both the same in mind, when it says pulse cannon, that's going to be a light plasma cannon. Which leaves us then with the particle beam cannons. Now, as we just discussed, using the Brakiri Avioki, particle beam cannon is a particle beam cannon is a capital weapon. So we're going to call it a cannon, but it's not actually going to be a cannon. Oh, and PC says it's supposed to be sung to the tune of the 12 Days of Christmas. I apparently went 4-3-2, and did I? Did I actually? Oh yeah. So 4 pulse cannons, 3 particle beams, 2 fusion missiles, and a missile launched at perigee. Got it. I got it. Alright, so the particle beam cannon is just going to be a regular particle beam, and the fusion missile is going to equal a tactical nuclear missile. And JP just says, brilliant. Okay, it was brilliant. All credit where credit is due. Alright, let's build ourselves a ship. So first things first, heavy weapons. The first heavy weapon we're going to put on here is going to be, of course, the plasma cannon. So, heavy plasma cannon. This is going to be a medium at 5d12. And let's face it, I mean, the plasma cannon is nothing special, but 5d12 damage is really something to be afraid of. And a lot of ships have them. So you might be walking into a fight thinking that, yeah, I got a plasma cannon. Yeah, so does everybody else. Okay? Everybody else has plasma cannons too. And if they can hit you, or you can hit them with yours, they can hit you with theirs. So a lot of decisions need to be made real carefully. Okay, the next is going to be the particle beam. And I'm just going to go with the regular particle beam, not the persistent particle beam. So particle beam cannon. This is going to be long at 8d6. And again, there's nothing special about this. And the particle beam is going to cost us 25 and 20. Which brings us now to our light weapons. And the light weapon is also going to be a light plasma cannon right here. So it's going to be short 2d12. Actually, I should probably put the actual weapon in there first. There we go. And again, nothing special to this one. However, one thing that I do notice, this is going to be 10 and 12, is that when we look at the front of this ship, we have coverage at all ranges. We have a particle beam cannon for long range, heavy plasma cannons at medium range, and we have pulse cannons at short range. And JP says, so if your vein is cut and is spewing blood, you are now a plasma cannon. I don't know if you qualify as a cannon. Plasma, yes. Cannon, no. However, if anybody else watched The Martian, we might be able to call you Iron Man. I guess it depends on exactly where you do it. But, getting back to what I was saying here, we have seen this configuration before. The Sunhawk is looking an awful lot like a White Star. And what is the White Star built to do? The White Star is built to go out there and pick a fight with something a lot bigger than it is. Which I believe is also the same doctrine that Drazi are using with the Sunhawk. This thing is meant to go out there and get the job done, no matter what it's up against. And if one Sunhawk won't do it, add more Sunhawks. The only difference is that we just made the White Star a medium-size transport frame, whereas the Sunhawk is a large destroyer. So, same doctrine, but the White Star is still better at doing it, which reflects the much more advanced technology. I think this works out really, really well. Now, as far as the fusion missiles, I can literally copy these from the Brakiri, because the Brakiri were using the same thing. And that's going to cost us 10 and 18. So 10 and 18. 10 and 18. Perfect. So the only thing left, the budget long sensors are going to cost us 6, but what about that launch tube? Okay? What did that launch tube say it was going to cost us? And we still need to get thrusters, too. The expansion bays... Launch tubes. 10 and 5. So we got that. And let's see, PC says, you're forgetting the most important stat of these. They are painted either green or purple. I haven't forgotten. This is a generic template. Okay? You can get yours painted in either green or purple on receipt of the ship. Okay? However, importantly, it must get repainted every 5 years. Okay? That is non-negotiable. Every 5 years, you have to bring it in for a new paint job. Alright, so we got our launch tubes. Now we need to get some thrusters for this thing. And for large thrusters, we do have a couple of options, but I'm going to go with the lesser option for these guys. Just to kind of preserve the lower technology part of it. So I'm going to give them the L8s. There is no bonus to these, so it's going to be purely up to the pilot. And again, like I just said, I mean, the whole thing about it comes in purple or green is a joke, and I said that, well, I mean, it comes that way by default. These are defaults. If you, as players, were to get a hold of one of these ships and say that you wanted to put better thrusters on it, you can. Okay? It just comes down to what do you want on it once you have the authority to make modifications. But from the shipyard, this is how they come. Alright, so the L8s are going to be 108. There we go. So, I do believe we have it. Also, I'm going to put down here, one Sky Serpent. Actually, I'm going to do this a little bit differently. Launch tube, one Sky Serpent. There we go. That way we know that it automatically comes with one of those. Okay, I think we're good to do the numbers. So, do I need my calculator for this one? We got 100 for the thrusters. 55, 65, 75, 85, 95 PCU. 195. That's not bad. That is not bad at all. So now for a power core. It is a large ship. It needs a large power core. And something in the 200 area. I think I can do that. Arcus Ultra, Arcus Maximum. Fits a large frame, and it is 200 points. Arcus Maximum. Okay. Now, for build points. Do I need a calculator for this one? 30 and 8 is 38, plus 20 is 58, plus 40 is going to be 98, plus 12 is going to be 110, 128, 146, I think. 152, 157. I'm not sure, though. I'm going to double check myself. Is it 157? 30 plus 8 plus 20 plus 30 plus 25 plus 12 plus 18 plus 18. Oh, no, I was way off. Wait, no, look at the wrong damn numbers. Never mind. 38 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 12 plus 18 plus 18 plus 6 plus 5 is 157. No, I was good. I was right. I can still do the maths. Which means that this thing costs 157 credits, or 157,000 credits to build. But what tier is it at 157? And PC says Arcus Maximum sounds like a transformer. Well, it definitely sounds like it should be transforming. Arcus Maximize! Alright, so 157 is going to put us just over Tier 6. Since we have to round up, that means that we are going to be a Tier 7 vessel. And I think that that's pretty appropriate for this ship. Because it is a Tier 7, it does get a single HP boost. And that's going to be an additional 20 hull points. So up to 170, up to 170. Lovely. Okay. Very good. I like it. Now, does this actually fit with the Sky Serpent? I think it does. So the Sky Serpent, not very fast. In fact, they both move the same speed. However, both of them have the same doctrine, and that is absolutely punishing from the front. The Drazi do not shy away from a fight. And I think this really shows, with the Sky Serpent having the twin-linked pulse cannons on the front, and the entirely forward-facing weapons platform that is the Sunhawk. I think this works. But, let's compare it to some others. So, for starters, the humans do have the Olympus class. This is also a destroyer. So if we put them side by side, what do they look like? Well, they're both the same speed. Okay, although the Olympus does have a lot more people on board. Same armor class, same hit points. When we get to looking at the actual weapon placement, though, the Olympus has better coverage all the way around. Not to mention it has actual point defenses. Whereas the Sunhawk is entirely forward-facing. Its thing is it has only one thing that it does, and that is attack. And that's fine. I think that's really good. If that's the profile they want to go for, then great. Who else has one? The Narn have the Thanor and Taloth class. So let's copy that over real quick and compare those. So both are tier 7s. The The Thanor Taloth class has a lot more going for it, but they're both tier 7s. The Thanor has Mark IV armor, so that makes it a little bit more tanky, and this is, of course, still before we add in anything else. And again, weapons all the way around. However, one thing that the Sunhawk does have on them is that the Thanor has dual forward heavy plasma cannons. Which is great because, again, as we discussed earlier, plasma cannons are absolutely punishing. The Sunhawk also has plasma cannons, but it also has that long-range particle beam cannon. Which means that this thing is simply outranged. They both have fusion missiles, however, the Narn destroyer does have coverage all the way around, and it has a hangar bay. The Thanor has 6 Frozzy interceptors, the Taloth has 8. The Sunhawk only has 1, and again, this is where we also see doctrines collide. The Sunhawk is absolutely punishing from the front, which means that in a fight between 2 capital ships, it's going to be a lot of positioning and a lot of dueling. Can you get the shot or can you not get the shot? And this is where the interceptors are going to eat the Sunhawk alive. Because they will be able to flank. We can keep these Frozzies as a single unit, a squadron, and use it to kind of reposition around behind the Sunhawk and take it down. Or we can actually have the squadron break up and we can attack the Sunhawk from 7 directions at once. Which the Sunhawk has no answer to. It has missiles, sure, but missiles are limited. And it's not the only one with missile. Every single Frozzy fighter comes with its own missile launcher, and the Taloth and Thanor and Taloth also have their own missile launchers. So this is not an advantage for them. And if we compare it to the Vorchan, which, by the way, again, these actually did go toe-to-toe. So if we're looking for a comparison from the actual TV show, this is the comparison. The Vorchan is 1 tier higher, making it tier 8. That means that it gets another HP bonus. If we look at what this thing does, though, it has twin-linked forward ion cannons. Okay? So yes, that particle beam cannon can reach out and hit the Vorchan before they even get close. But it's got a faster speed. 10 hexes to 8 hexes. It's not a huge difference, but it's an hourglass. The Sunhawk cannot get away from this engagement, which means that sooner or later, those cannons are going to come into range. And then, yeah, the Sunhawk has plasma cannons. So does the Vorchan, but the Vorchans are linked for 10d12 damage. Not to mention, it has energy mines. The Sunhawk is absolutely not to be underestimated. But that does not mean that it does not come up short in many other places. It's a terrifying ship, don't get me wrong. It is essentially the White Star before White Stars existed. But it is still old technology, and no matter how much you upgrade it, it's only going to get so good. So, with that being done, I think this is going to be a good place to wrap it up a little bit early. So, we're not done with the League yet. We got the Brakiri done, we got the Drazi done. But we still have 2 more ships to do. We got the Brakiri, we got the Drazi, which means we have 2 more ships, and they are the Zor and Zil class cruisers for the Vree. And just take a quick look at them. They're all flying saucers. Okay, they're all flying saucers. I don't know what to tell you. The Vree Zor class saucer is 350 meters across in all directions, and it's got these turrets on top. So it's like somebody stuck a cannon on top of a frisbee. So it just says it has 6 pulsed ion cannons. I don't know what an ion cannon is, but if it's pulsed, we can make it plasma. So you got that, and then there's the Zil class cruiser, which is 500 meters across, which still puts it in the large category. So both of their cruisers are large. I guess we'll have to look into how we make them different. But the Zil class cruiser comes with 15 antimatter burst cannons, which is kind of weird because I can't find a single cannon on this image. I don't know what we're going to do. So we're going to wrap things up here. When we get back here next time, we will go ahead and do both of the Vree ships. And then if we have time, I believe it's time to start looking into the Vorlon ships. Which almost seems a little cheaty, because like one of the things about the Vorlons is that no one ever really knew what a Vorlon ship was or what it could do. I feel like if I do them on stream, I'm kind of betraying the canon a little bit, because I'll be telling you everything that they are. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know while I'm wrapping everything up. Should we do the Vorlon ships? Or should we let them be mysterious? I can go either way on that one. Like, I love the magic of the mystery, but I also like knowing. I was never one of those people that learning how the magic is done ruined the magic. For me, learning how the magic was done just made it more magical. So I can swing either way. Do we want to do Vorlons, or do we not want to do Vorlons? If we do want to do Vorlons, then I'll queue it up. If we don't, then we can move on to hyperspace, because hyperspace is gonna be all about. It's gonna require its own section. JP says keep them mysterious. I can do that. I'm actually really good with that. Like I said, I would like it to... I like the idea that when a Vorlon ship shows up, everybody looks at it and says, whoa. Probably don't want to mess with it because we have no idea what it could possibly do. Which is exactly the same reaction we get in the show. JP says, we can't use Vorlon tech, right? That's a hard question to answer. So... what you can use and what you can't use depends entirely on the setting. Obviously, the TV show takes place over 5 years, from 2258 to 2262. And that is what we have built everything around, okay? But we're not locked into that. I have the ability to play any setting that I want. If we wanted to go back and play, say, the Dilgar War, okay, we can do that. The way that we do that is by going back and saying, whoever we're playing, which is probably going to be humans, we are limited to, okay, the Nova, back. So this is all that's available if we play the Dilgar War, excepting the Thunderbolt, because the Thunderbolt was not introduced until later on in the series. And JP says if we can't use it, keep it secret. Hold on a sec. You're getting ahead of me. If we wanted to play the Dilgar War, this is what we restrict ourselves to. and then we just, take that off. So we get the Aurora Star Furies, we get the Olympus class, we get the Hyperion, and we get the Nova. The Omega came out like at the very tail end of the Dilgar Wars, so they would be exceedingly rare. They would be like a set piece. As far as I know, the Narn, Centauri, and Minbari did not get involved in the Dilgar War. And so that would leave us also then playing some of these. You could play Brakiri or Drazi and be on any of these ships, or potentially Ivri. But a lot of the advanced technology, yeah, you're right, it's not going to exist. In fact, you won't even see a Vorlon. If we play through the events of the show, Vorlon tech is still more or less off the table. The White Star and the Victory class are both constructed using Vorlon technology, but that's not the same. However, this does not rule out playing an advanced version of Babylon 5. If we were to play in the future, where we have access to the Vorlon technology, you can use it. Also, because I did, under race and species, I made Vorlons. If you wanted to play as a Vorlon, then obviously Vorlon tech would be available. So there is an argument to be made where we would have access to it. Now, of course, with that on the table, I can do both. I can keep it secret. And big if, I know, but if we start this game, and if all of my players want to play as Vorlons, not 3 kobolds in a Vorlon coat, but actual Vorlons, then I can give you the information. But if you think that it's best to keep the mystery, then I'm good with keeping the mystery. So, since you're the only vote that I've seen right now, I suppose we'll go with that one. We'll go ahead and we'll skip the Vorlons. We'll keep them mysterious until otherwise needed. And yeah, we'll move on from there. So, I guess next time we will finish up with the Vri. JP says, what about the Greys and their saucer ships? That's the Vri. That's what I'm just getting to. Next week we're going to do the Vri, and we'll take care of their flying saucers. There's 2 of them, the Zil and the Zor. We'll do those 2, and if we have any time left, we'll start looking at hyperspace mechanics. Because I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do. And we really, really need to put some rules on what a jump engine is and how a jump engine works. Because there's a lot of mechanics that are going to be involved there. Not just like what ships are allowed to jump and what aren't, but like how do we open a jump point? And yeah, we're gonna get into it. And PC says, "Oh, this is BS." Throws off the trench coat and walks out. Look, I didn't say you can't be 3 kobolds in a trench coat. I just said you're not getting a ship. Alright, you can be 3 kobolds in a trench coat. That looks like a Vorlon. Also, I don't even know if we have kobolds or not. I don't know if we have any necessarily short races. I have to look. I have to go through the races again and see if there's anybody short enough to qualify as small. But that'll have to be for next time. So, don't want to turn that off. I want to turn that off and that off. I really wish I could color code OBS. Because I can't hardly read these things. Anyway, With that being done, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to let you get back to your Sunday. So thank you everyone who came out here for this one. I enjoyed it. The Drazi were absolutely fascinating to build. I hope you had fun too. Hopefully we'll have more fun next week. So until then, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do that. Hit the bell icon to get notified every time these videos come out. If you know somebody else who is also into Babylon 5 or Starfinder and you think they would enjoy this, and share this video with them. If you like me, you like what I'm doing, leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below. But, okay, big but, I cannot lie. If you want to play with us, go ahead and join the Discord. The link, it be down there. Join the Discord. Come to the Behind the Screen channel and let me know what games you want to play, what games you're available for. We currently have a Star Trek game going. We are setting up a Warhammer 40,000 Tyranid Gene Stealer game. Hasn't started yet. Still looking for players. Okay, I have enough players that I can start it, but I would really, really like at least one more player to do this. Right now I have 3 players. 4 is the optimum table size. 5 is excellent. 6 is tricky. But I'm a really good GM. I can handle 6 players. And if I can get 6 players, that'll be just ducky for me. So, if you're interested in Warhammer 40,000, come and join that game. If you're interested in Babylon 5, join the Discord now so that I have you there when this game starts. So, with that being said, thank you for coming. I hope to see you on the Discord. I hope to see you back here next week for more Babylon 5, and until then, take care.